reality, if we sat down with the Democrats and talked about extending taxes, the Democrats, for the most part, would extend most of the personal or individual tax rates because most people don't want to raise taxes on Americans by 20%. And that's what we're talking about. There may be some negotiations on the highest bracket. I think most Democrats, Republicans would agree we don't want to raise small business taxes by 20%. So I think we could probably agree to that. Yeah. Now the corporate rates are already fixed. They're not going to stop on December 31st. But I would imagine some of the Democrats would maybe want to open that up and tweak the corporate rate. I think most of us want to support in the investment incentives because when businesses, double the size of their plants to increase manufacturing, that creates carpenter jobs and all these jobs that go with construction. I think most people agree
that part, and I think you're entirely right, Congressman. I think there could be compromises on all these things. I think you're right in how we would get there. But you just made an interesting point. If somebody wants to build a plant, the tariff thing confuses that issue a lot, right? There are just a whole bunch of people who might be saying, I want a plant. America's a big country, big set of consumers for me. Maybe I'll just build it in Canada where it's a little bit consistent and we don't have changing tariffs. The tariff thing, for the moment, maybe it'll get settled at some point, but for the moment, it actually discourages expansion and new plants in America.
Well, I'm the Republican who submitted a bill to put tariffs authority back to Congress. Article 1 in the Constitution is clear. Congress is in charge of tariffs. So what we did in the early 70s, we gave the executive branch emergency powers for tariffs. And I feel like in this case, President Trump has abused the word emergency tariffs as doing wholesale tariff policy change. And I don't agree with it. The fact is Republicans have not supported tariffs since 1930. Right. And it's more of a President McKinley Republican in the 1890s philosophy here. Actually, it was more Democrat-supported tariffs in the 1970s. We have a really weird flux of our ideologies right now where we have some of the people in the Republican Party, not all, not me, are embracing the protectionism and isolationism. Those are 1930s Republican policies. And I was on an elevator the other day with Democrats that go, Don, way to defend free trade and way to stand up to Russia. And I go, yeah, you sound like Ronald Reagan. So I don't know it's interesting that we're having this jumbling of the ideologies right now. And we see it playing out real time there. But I don't think tariffs work, Alec. Tariffs are a glorified sales tax, and it affects the middle class the most. And you're right, coffee, we don't make coffee here.
Right,
we don't.
Right.
A lot of things you were mentioning, we're going to be paying more for all this stuff because we don't even produce it. And, I think I could see a case for targeted tariffs against countries who are attacking us. But in the end, we know free trade works the best. It gives you the best product at the best price in the most efficient manner possible. And it keeps your own manufacturing competitive. And it works. In the end, it works.
So, unlike the U.S. government, we can't run a deficit. So I need to pay the bills by having a commercial break and keeping you to the other side. And I can make you a deal. I can make you not stay for the second break if you can tell me right now whether or not you're going to be becoming a Democrat.
I'm going to be a Ronald Reagan Republican. I campaigned for Reagan in 1976 when I was 13 years old. So I'm more interested in trying to stand up for the long-standing conservative values that I believe. By the way, and that's considered being moderate today. It's funny how these labels are being put out there. But I'm going to stand. I want peace through strength. I believe in good alliances. I know Russia's a bad country. I was really perturbed by the interview last night with our president. Asked 3 times about President Putin, and he kept attacking Zelensky. It doesn't make sense. President Putin's a bad guy. He's the man who's killed all of his opponents. Zelensky's the victim here. I just wish we had moral clarity. But I'm going to be the guy that stands up for the values that I believe the Republicans have believed in since the 1940s on. And I want to fight for the soul of our party.
Well, there's going to be a draft Don Bacon to run the Republican Party movement pretty soon. However, because you didn't give me the right answer about switching parties, I'm going to have to ask you to stay for a few moments while we